Podcast episode number
30.
Hey.
All right, 3-0. Took a little hiatus.
Oh man, took a little break there.
A little break there for a little while.
A
So
little cold break, nice and slushy.
Yeah, it was snowy.
Man.
Yeah, we got all that snow.
Thank gosh,
That's-
man.
Pastor Otero says they barely got a little sprinkle. Here in
Wow.
Albuquerque. So
And we got snowed out.
we got snowed out. So
Snowed in.
although I was in California at the time, enjoying nice 65, 75 degree sunny weather. So that was
Sheesh.
fun. But anyways, all right. So today I want to read from Isaiah 55. It's something that always intrigues me. And it's from verse 8 says, For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither your ways or my ways, declares Yahweh. And it kind of triggered me, it always, because we're dealing with Yethro yesterday in the time of our Badashah teaching, and how the testimony of Moses was telling his father-in-law how his father-in-law was a man who, well, I wouldn't say worship, but he was the kind of guy that was looking out to all the gods of that particular time. Who was the real God? And then Moses comes along and shares the testimony of what Yahweh did and how he rescued him, and he becomes a believer. And so the thought of Yahweh still using an individual like that, you know, we think oftentimes, how can he do that? But that's the case in my thoughts. So what are his thoughts on the matter of bringing the structure like he does with Israel? So he gives Moses some advice, and the way it's read, it's kind of like, now you listen to me. You sit down and you listen to me, and let me give you some sound advice, because what we gather in is people will wear you down. People get mad at you, like they did with Moses. People get upset. Anger is a number one thing that happens, especially in ministry. It's easy stirred up. And you can imagine Moses sitting there and listening to everybody's complaint, everybody's problems, everybody's disputes, financial issues, and it could wear you down. And father-in-law seen that happening. Said, one of the things that I noticed is that in this scripture is that Yahweh doesn't interfere.
Nice.
He doesn't interfere.
Just let it carry out.
He lets it carry out because he gives them some good advice. He says, this is how you should handle it. This is the way you should do it. You get guys you can trust, guys that are going to do what's right. You put judges, you put elders, and you put leaders, and you set them off. And everything came together, and the best part of it is that Moses listened. He listened to his father-in-law. You know, it's not a matter of he came out too hard at him, or he was trying to insult him, or anything like that, but he was giving him some sound advice, some good counseling, and that's something, yeah. And
Because we don't see really any of Moses' father in the picture, huh?
no, after this you don't. After this you don't. He's actually a cousin in all reality, because it's Abraham's son.
Right.
One of Abraham's son from his second marriage. And so it's pretty interesting, I think. But it takes me back, like I said, the thoughts, Yahweh. You know, what are his thoughts? What are you doing? So
Well, that was a good intro there. So, for those that are just joining in, welcome back to episode 30. We've been gone for a few weeks, but we're back. How was y'all's Shabbat yesterday?
wonderful.
You know, the pastor's touching on the whole Parashah. Is it Yitro or Yethro?
Yethro.
Yee.
Yethro.
And also, pastor just got back from California, and we're
Yes.
going to try to tackle today, like, why disciples are so wishy-washy.
Yes.
So, pastor, how was y'all's long drive back from California? How was it with your wife?
Oh, it was wonderful.
You guys must have had some good fellowship on the road
Good
from...
fellowship.
In and out.
In and out. Always a thing.
Yeah.
Always a
Yeah.
Although we couldn't get in and out until after the fact because of trying to meet the deadline. You know, me and deadlines.
Go, 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 go.
Always in a rush.
Always in a rush. And my wife's like, "What's the hurry?" Get
I
there.
mean, we just experienced this.
That's just me, though.
Pastor's got a time clock in his head.
Always, always.
And that's all that matters.
And that cuckoo bird's always coming out of that little hole. No.
Time's up.
So, Jeremy, how was worship yesterday for you? Did you feel anything different? And how was it meeting those newcomers that showed up?
It was really cool to see new faces in the sanctuary. Worship was great. It just keeps evolving and getting more personal for me. And it's just more of me trying to pull everybody, like pull their resistance out, and get them to just engage, you know. So doing some little tactics here to try to, get everybody going. A lot of guys in the home are starting to realize what I'm coming at and coming from. Just talking to them on the side about, just having that release, open up your heart and, you want things to change in your life. Well, you got to let the Father in. So
That's good.
And that is considered counseling.
Yeah.
Yes, if you think about it, I mean, that's what you're doing. You're instructing and you're counseling on how we should approach Yahweh, how we worship Him, and that's the same whole issue that we were teaching on yesterday.
So for those that are watching and did not get to see online yesterday's live stream, it is uploaded. It's under Yithro/Abba. I encourage y'all to go watch it. So let's continue. So for those who missed it, Pastor, what is the Parashat Yithro, and why did you teach on it?
Well, it's the Parashah, so we've tried to follow that, as I said before. And it was the testimony of Moses to his father-in-law and how Yahweh saved Israel out of Egypt. And in the long run, his father became a believer of Yahweh. But like I said, once again, he's seen all that was taking place and how everybody was coming at him. And as Moses was sitting there and trying to counsel who knows how many people, and you sit there and you talk with, and that's the whole matter, like how we do it. You're gonna be a counselor one day, and you're gonna instruct people, or most of the time just listen to them and try to give them a direction.
Yeah.
But it can be trying. It could be it wears you down. I've sat in times with sitting with guys and they just don't want to listen, or they want to do it their way, and it can be a lot of back and forth. So I think that's what Moses, the father, had seen in Moses, all the back and forth and how it's taken a toll on him, and he instructs him what to do. So I think it was pretty exciting. I liked it.
Okay, so Jeremy, this portion was named after Jethro, that was Moses' father-in-law. Why do you think that's significant?
Like I was asking Pastor just a second ago, I didn't see any mention. We don't see any mention of Moses' actual father. So I think this segment of Moses being instructed really signifies the importance of having that father figure, and that counseling from a father, because it doesn't say that Moses was very rebellious or dismissive of his father-in-law's advice. So I think the significance of the father to the son is something that we can see from this portion of the
It's good.
Parashah.
Okay, so Jethro, Pastor, was a Midianite priest,
Yes.
and he proclaimed, "Now I know Yahweh is greater from all gods." So what does that conversion teach us about genuine faith versus religious performance?
Well, like I said, he was one to have, I guess, idols and stuff. Not sure if he was an idol maker, but he was in seek of a god, as far as I can look at his background. And he would look at every god around him. They had many statues and idols and whatnots. And so, even though he was a descendant of Abraham, but his father is named Midian, and his father was an idol worshiper, and it kind of passed down. So at this point in his life, is like, you're in the journey. Everybody, it gets on the course of a journey to find out. We start out in the like Catholicism, who is, we learn about the Catholic way. Then from the Catholic way, you go to the Christian way. Well, who's right? They all pretty much line up and try to say it's Jesus, and now you got to live right. Well, that's part of the battle of trying to seek out. That's your journey. That's who you're trying to find. And in Moses' point of view, he went to Egypt. So Jethro, he would look at the Egyptians gods, and there was the Canaanite gods, and Jebusite gods, Baal, and so on, and all these idols. And so finally, who could do the things that what happened with the people of Israel in Egypt, and how he brought them over. And Moses being like Jared said, a father, a son, father figure, but they had a special bond because he was married to his daughter-in-law, his daughter, and they grew up together for the past 40 years. So there was something special, and there's no doubt that why would he? And the fruit was there. And you look out and you see all these people. Yeah. He starts off, he goes back to Egypt by himself, and so the fruit is there, and so Jethro becomes a believer just on what he sees. And so, that's a miracle of it. And so it doesn't really say what happens to him after that, but we like to believe that he was, as we would put it in the terms, saved.
Yeah.
So do you think Moshe takes instruction from others very well?
He took it very well.
From other people.
I think what he does is that you're if you look at the scripture, the way it's structured, it was Moses, Aaron, Joshua, and a few other leaders. So in the Midrash, which is a Jewish teaching, and they have these different rabbis, they come together. They say they come together and reasoned amongst when Moses would come down. That was becoming the oral Torah. But Moses would talk to Yahweh personally, okay, and he would try to give that to either the sons of Aaron or Joshua, and so he would share those things. So it was something that we teach, we share in part, and say, well, it's not. And Moses never said, well, this is my teaching.
Right.
This is passed down from the Father in heaven to the people.
Okay, Jeremy, so let's throw a wrench there on that subject there. So Jethro gave Moshe organizational advice about delegating. Yeah. So the question is, have you ever had to give Pastor Joe advice about something, and how did that go?
Sometimes, like, especially when Pastor asks, what do you think about this guy, what do you think about that? So, there's certain scenarios where it comes into play where I have to use my own thoughts about how to delegate a situation, and he's pretty open to it. If it's something that he doesn't see fit, or I don't see in another guy, trying to put somebody that can't see to clean windows, I think, he might interrupt and say, well, that guy can't see, so why should he clean
Let the blind man clean the window.
Just for example.
Yeah.
Okay. So Moshe was humble enough to receive correction from his non-Israelite father-in-law, right? So how do you stay teachable when you are the leader?
Well, you never learn everything. When you get to the place in life you know it all. Well, probably like I read in Proverbs chapter 3, I think it's in verse 12 yesterday, or verse 7. Don't be right in your own eyes, I think it said. Don't be a Mr. Know-it-all. So it's really hard not to, when it comes to biblical understanding. So it's a matter of staying humble all the time, trying to keep yourself in your place when it comes to the will of the Father. Man does is that it wants to replace that. Now, I've heard men say this, in my experience. I would share something, I'm praying about this, praying that, and somebody would look over at me, and the pastor, say, well, I'm your answer. And I'd be like, what? How can you answer for Father in heaven? You know, it's pretty bold to come out and say, I'm your answer. So, especially if it's a difficult situation or you're going through something, it's something that you really have to be open about. And to, like, I don't know about cars, and Jeremy knows about cars, or this person knows about this. So if I don't know something, I'm not going to pretend I know more than him. But that's what happens a lot in ministry, is that pastors and leaders, uh, you know, you read your Bible, you study, and if you minister to someone, let's say one person in the congregation, they're going to run to you and say, hey, you really touched my heart. You did this and you did that. Well, they're going to put you in a pedestal all of a sudden. And that pedestal can get to your brain. And you can get really self-righteous, really self-seeking, like every word, everybody's waiting for you to speak because you're the man, you know? And so to be humble is to be open and to listen, and even if you take instruction from even the least, is to be open. And so you're always learning. You'll get to the place in life where, you know, it's a humbling thing when you don't know something.
Yeah.
Okay? And then a teacher comes and tries to teach you their way. But at some point in time, you're going to learn your own way. You know, you're going to do what you're taught, but you're going to find, hey, here's a simpler way, or here is something that's more difficult, you know, so you're always learning. And that's something that I've always taken to heart, because, you know, you don't know everything.
Right.
Especially in ministry.
Okay. So the people said that all that Yahweh has spoken, we will do. Yes. So before knowing what the commandments were, what does that kind of commitment look like today?
Oh, it's not good. Well, I mean, I think more people are skeptical. When I went to California, I was trying to go and speak to a couple ministries. Sad thing about this, and it didn't dawn on me at the time, but it did after. On Shabbat, I went to go look for a place to have a Shabbat with another ministry. And each place I went to, they were shut down. Well, you know, I got pretty upset about it. I was like, wow. And I got off and spoke to one person, and they had said, no, we do Shabbat on a Friday night. And I was like, whoa, that's different. Because here we do it in New Mexico at least, and I believe Arizona, they do it on a Shabbat day. And so, but one of them had explained to me the reason why was because the anti-Semitism and the threats they have gotten in California. And so I kind of opened my eyes to it. You know how people are angry with it when it comes to the Messianic faith or the Jewish faith. So I think a lot of people are already suspect. And when it comes to, especially the Torah right now, people don't understand Torah, what it means. So if you're going to come in and you're going to add, you know, which is a double-edged sword, because Christianity, when you go to a Christian church, you're demanded to make an altar call, and they challenge you to repent of your sins, and then they want you to commit on the spot. And I've been there. I've been out in the outreaches, and come on, you must commit today. You know, let's pray the sinner's prayer, because I'll get the soul winner. You know, chalk one up for me. But when most people come to a Messianic ministry or the teachings of Torah, you're standing there and you're hearing the instructions, and you feel in your heart, hey, will I do everything that is commanded of me? So if you look at all the commandments that are there, and there's 613, all right, and let's say the chapter 20 deals with all the 10, and here's what you need to do. You need to obey me and listen to me and follow these commandments. And so if all of them sitting around and said, we will do that, okay, well, after a while, what happens?
No one does
They
nothing.
don't
No one
wanna
does.
do They don't
So,
wanna do it.
I think today, though, if you look at today's world, and this once again, for me, is speak to what he said, Isaiah, my thoughts are not your thoughts. Well, what are your thoughts? And he gives us, this is, the commandments are the thoughts of Yahweh. This is how I want you to live. This is what I expect from you. If you're going to be my people and I'm going to be your Elohim, here's what we have to do. And that's very challenging. That's very challenging. And I believe that a lot of people have that problem today because most of the time your frustration gets in the way.
That's true. So, Jerry, if you ever had to be on Mount Sinai hearing Yahweh's voice directly, how do you think you would have reacted?
Just an adoration. I think it would be something so serious that I don't know. That's hard to say. Like you actually hear the voice of Yahweh.
Yeah.
I'm sure the first instinct would probably be to bow or get on your knees and bow your head, because I mean, if you look at his presence, you're probably gonna die, right? Nobody's seen Yahweh and lived, so I think my first reaction would be just awe. I'd be in awe of him, and then I'd be very attentive to what he's saying.
Well, so for both of y'all, have y'all ever said yes to Yahweh before knowing what you were saying yes to?
Yes.
And what happened?
Nothing good.
To Yahweh?
No.
Took on a lot of pressure.
Yes.
And then just didn't count the cost of what it would actually take to fulfill those duties.
Yeah, you
The sacrifice.
yes, you get to that place where I will do anything, okay?
With stipulations.
Well, yeah, but when the challenge comes, like Jared said, it becomes very,
You gotta divide the flesh and the spirit.
yes, because you're like, wow, this is gonna hurt.
I want to go do that, but I know my spirit man says I need to stay here and do this.
Yes, exactly. I think every person goes through that. I mean, if you're, okay, in these last few weeks, I always equate the Exodus to the men's home because there's a lot of similarities. You're dealing with all this stuff. And then, every now and then we get sin in the camp, and we have to deal with it. I have to deal with it. And then you think it's gone and, you challenge. And the whole point is people don't realize it. It's easy to get rid of the problem, and get it out of the way, which is understandable. But at some point you have to deal with it. And the person that is creating the problems, they don't see it any other way. They don't see that they're contaminating and the effects that it can happen. And it deals a lot within, at least my heart. I have man, this person is just not getting it. And, and I can confront it and I can deal with it. And, okay, I'm sorry. And then it's still there. So at some point in time that you do exhaust all your prayers and whatnot, and even you go to the Father, what do? I'm trying to have grace here. I mean, there's a lot of things that go on, and at the final ending, it's you remove it, and it's very challenging because you're dealing with life, and life is serious, when you're telling somebody, let me put it, you're just a bad person and can't get it right, get the hell out of here, and then they go out there again, and
Who knows what happens, right?
yeah, and it carries because you don't want that person.
You get that burden on your heart for them.
Yes, you don't want that person to go perish somewhere.
Yeah, it's got to be a tough situation. You got to
Yes.
learn. I mean, I don't know. I've never ran a home, but for you have to make that decision. Like, all right, do I want this guy to sit here and keep influencing my guys, or do I need to just show them the exit?
Yeah, I'd rather for them to do it than me, but
Yeah.
and I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
How do you get fleas out of the house?
Yeah, get rid of the cat, or dog.
The cat.
Dang.
In our case, dogs.
So on that subject here, let's
That flea collar on 'em.
let's touch on that a little bit more about wishy-washy. So why are today's believers so wishy-washy? What's the root issues? What do y'all think?
The influence of the world.
Okay.
I think it's just a matter of, like, the last days, hearts are very I guess it's wishy-washy, lukewarm.
Hmm. One
Money,
foot in, 1 foot out.
money plays a big part
Yeah.
in people's lives. I think that unbelief, challenges in their life. Well, we make challenges here, okay, then that person's got to go home with those challenges, and they can start justifying those challenges. Well, I do this, and I do help people, and I do that. You know, let's say for instance, when I was working in California, we were challenged to win souls at my job, okay, and I would be like I would share my testimony, and I could say, well, I was doing my job as a Christian, okay, and then go home and do nothing for the rest of the day. Well, the challenge was that's your job, you have to be there, okay, but the challenge is after your job, you go out and minister to somebody and try to win a soul. And so I think those days are gone where people are so consumed with their own lives that now they start justifying, wow. I mean, like you guys can say this, hey, well, I talk to guys at the home and I work with this person, I work that, so I'm exempt. But in reality, that's not so. We always have to be vigilant, we always have to be aware, and we always have to be, if someone asks us to pray for them, to pray for them. And I think those challenges today, no one's doing them because you have this thing called social media. Because now you can go on Facebook, whatever, and do your witnessing there. And do a lot, put a lot of words and whatnot, but there's nothing like face-to-face things. And I think that has diminished over the years, and a lot of people don't want to do it no more. And that's why church attendance is down a lot, because we're occupied by other things.
So from your perspective, Jared, what makes someone committed versus wishy-washy? What do you see in people?
Well, I guess committed would be more like available, someone who's available, someone who's willing to, give up their Sunday for, let's say, helping somebody out or going and, doing a little bit of a task for somebody in need. Committed is somebody that's on time. They're attentive to their position, whether it be, just as a sister or a brother in the church, or somebody who has responsibilities, right? I think faithfulness is commitment. Somebody who's wishy-washy maybe has grumbling in their heart. They're rebellious in their ways. They tend to slack from their responsibilities or push away. I could say that, I don't know, I think I'm having a little bit of conviction right now about that wishy-washy part. Because I come home and I just be like, man, I just want to rest,
Oh yeah.
You get off work, you just want to come home and chill. But you got like even the brothers at the home, you got to help them out. You got to see what's going on in the house. You got to see what needs to be fixed, what needs to be attended to.
Yeah.
And sometimes we just gotta sacrifice that time, and I think that commitment comes through that sacrifice.
That's good.
Giving of yourself.
Giving up yourself.
Because it's not easy, especially with people who are ungrateful for that help that you're trying to give them.
And the hard part is
I'm gonna grab the soda.
yes, you can say, hey, I seen this happen. This person is ungrateful, whatever the case may be, and then you all of a sudden what I see, I say, well, he just needs to be worked with, and you're the guy to do it. And like,
Yeah.
I don't want to do it, but that's the whole challenge. Now, as a servant doesn't get to have those sit back and try to play, as we call it, Monday night quarterback, and just analyze things. A servant must do his work. And a servant is called to draw close. If you want to draw close to Yeshua, here's the requirements. And that's a nasty word. Requirements are a nasty word today. You have to look appropriate, you got to act appropriate, and you got to speak appropriate. So a lot of people disqualify themselves because they don't know how. They're unwilling to learn. And they're unwilling to learn because they have settled. And once you settle, There's no, you're not going left and you're not going right. You're just there.
Mm.
And you have parked your car and you say, I'm not getting out. I don't care what anybody says. And I'm stuck as Chuck. And so, but a servant doesn't look to those things. Even though you want to look at the life of Jonah. Jonah struggled. Yahweh said, hey, go over here. He's like, no, I don't want to go. And then it was a whole scenario where he gets on a boat and has a fish eaten. And then he realized his mistakes. But even though when he still comes back and he still goes and does what Yahweh wants reluctantly, he was still angry.
Yeah, at the end of it all, huh?
He was still angry. So,
I do what you said to do.
It happens. I felt that way a lot of times. Like you guys are saying, I can justify everything I do, but I go to the men's home and that's my day. And I can come home and I'm done, which I can do. All right, like, well, I deserve a break. But here is where it doesn't settle. And I have to get up and I go follow up. I go talk to somebody. I get a lot of phone calls. I could shut out my phone, but no, we have to be open and we have to allow the Father do His will. Back in our day, it was called witnessing. Okay, remember we used to do outreach.
Yeah.
Okay, and today in the world, that is gone away. You don't need a whole group of people. You yourself can do it on your own, just by telling. And your testimony is your outreach. People want to see you and say, "Hey, well, who are you serving?"
Right.
And by your grace and your mercy, you talk to people, and they want to be part of that.
Yeah.
And so that's your testimony. That is your testimony.
That is a struggle too, though.
Yes.
You gotta pull that e-brake, right?
Yeah.
So do y'all think it's like a heart issue, a maturity issue, a cultural issue? Like, why can't people just commit anymore?
I think, in my opinion, is the cultural, probably. The cultural, the nation, the influences that are surrounding us as a people. I mean, the top two influences in our lives, right, is probably family and social media. So I think a lot of those influences that we have, we tend to listen to or navigate to, and once a spark in our thoughts just manifests, then we tend to lean on that and believe that and push that. We see it in social media all the time, how quickly a meme can spread, right? So how quickly an opinion can be formed and adopted and then practiced. And I think that's one of the biggest things is people play on these emotions of society, and then society follows those emotions and then influences other people to follow that same thing.
So, that's a really tough question, because the part of that question would be like, okay, was it a heart issue? Do y'all think it's maturity? You said cultural. Why can't people commit? But then on the flip side, does it start from the top?
Well,
what's the top?
The leadership.
Well, of course.
Yeah. Well,
so then is the leadership doing something wrong? Is that okay to feel that that's a thing? Or is it the people under the leadership that are the ones struggling because they just don't want to commit?
That's
So
what
you got
this is what you call is a daily examination. So in the book of Revelations, okay, you look at the book of Revelation chapter 2, okay, and when Yahweh says, or Yeshua says, I know your deeds, okay, in verse 2, you toil, your perseverance, that you cannot endure evil. You put to the test those who call themselves apostle, okay, and we talk about the leadership, and they are not, and they have found themselves false. You have persevered, you have endured for my name's sake, and you have not grown weary. But I have this against you. And the one thing he says that they lost their first love.
The passion, huh?
You lost the passion for the people, for Yeshua. You lost the passion. See, if you don't know something, you're not examining yourself. The scriptures, the Bible examines you and I. Yeah, this is Yahweh's book of examination for us. Where you look in there, especially if you look in the mirror and you're like, you're not happy with yourself because of something or whatever the case may be. Yahweh is looking at the inside of us. Okay? And you can say, well, because if you look at these, he's commending them for all the things that they did right, but they did it without love. So if you can be a nasty person, you can have all these characteristics, but you're just being nasty to those people. And because why? I just lost love for them. Okay, and it's something. It's like in a relationship in marriages. Okay, in relationships, you start off with it's all the honeymoon, but at some point in time,
You just get irritated.
yeah, you get irritated with each other,
Okay.
nasty, angry, mad. You still love that person, but you just something about them. You just now all their characters come out, and so that's a part of the relationship that you must communicate and work on. And so Scripture starts to examine us. See, on the outside, you have all the criteria of everything what it means to be saved. But inside, you have lost the love. When you lose love for people, you have lost love for Yahweh. You lost love for Yeshua. And that's what Yeshua is doing. None of these, now you think about this. This is written to the Messianic believers. It's not written to Judaism. It's not written to this person, the believers. And if we are going to say we're Messianic believers today, we can have everything that we do right, but something in here, okay, it's not just a heart problem, it's a character problem. Where you're frustrated, and I've been there, personally I've been there. This person gets this, and then I don't like this attitude. But once you start personalizing it, instead of thinking like, well, this person, they're lost, they don't know any better. We could presume that person knows everything. In the reality, they don't. They lost it somewhere. And I can say that about a lot of my friends. Okay, I had good relationships with them, but because of ministry or whatever the case may be, they have distanced themselves from me. And so, here I go and I'm like pursuing them and they're distancing back. Well, they lost love somehow because that doesn't even represent Jesus, if you think about it. All right, we are to find the common ground and to work together somehow, some way. All right, where there's no separate. There shouldn't be Messianic in Christianity. It should be one. So somewhere's the problem, and who's the problem?
Man.
It points back to us, and so that is one of the most important things is that. And then he goes on to say, remember therefore where you fell, or have you fallen? And he gives us the answer to repent. And you got to go back to the beginning and realize, you know what, he's an awesome Yahweh. He cares about us. He doesn't want to see nothing happen. And there's excitement when you find that first love again. And that's, we have to continue to persevere and pray for that love for people.
Yes. So, Jared, do you think that people treat ministry like they treat everything else, disposable and replaceable?
I do. I think there's so many different ministries out there, like so many different places that people can go. They feel like, oh, if I don't like this one, I'll just try another one. And they never develop that relationship. I can't speak for the minds and hearts of people, but I can just say what I see is that you can see somebody, get irritated at one place and then go to another place and do the same thing there, and then go to another place and do the same thing there. But what they don't realize is they're picking up all these habits and taking them to these new places, just developing these issues within their own heart. For me, in the history that I've had going to churches, I've never been to too many. I've been to about, I think, three churches. There was one that my grandma went to, one that my uncle went to, and then here. And the difference between all three, I think, is that here it's more personal. I think the other two was more of like, all right, let's meet together. Here's a scripture, here's a song. Maybe not my uncles. My uncles, they're more in depth. But when I went to a Baptist church, it was kind of more of it wasn't very. I didn't feel it was personal. Like I do how the relationship with Yahweh is here. That personal relationship. So I think it just depends on the person and them approaching and their commitment, like we've been talking about.
What's funny is Yeah. What's funny is you talked about social media's influence
Yes.
and all these other things that churches are doing or believers are doing now in today's world. I actually did see a post, and some guy that's like, we all know him from a different town. He was asking Facebook, why do people leave churches? He really wanted to know. And I just looked on the comments, and like out of 53 comments, everybody was saying the pastor, the pastor, the pastor, the pastor. But it's like, y'all have this all wrong. Y'all are leaving because your heart's not right. Y'all are treating, like, the question is, like, y'all are treating everything like it's disposable and replaceable. There, everyone wants to blame the pastor for their
Yeah.
decisions.
They
I
wanna
mean,
blame the
I-
we see
structure.
this in today's
Yeah.
believers, like, oh, I'm not gonna go to church on this day just to prove a point, or I won't show up on a Thursday, and you won't
Can I
see
say
me
my
on a
opinion
Thursday.
on that?
Mhm.
I think people deal with a lot of sin in their life, and they deal with a lot of things that are in their heart. So when the pastor or the Mariave is approaching that sin or exposing that, and they may see like, oh well, what is your life like? You know, they try to reflect back to the pastor, and then they develop that anger, that bitterness, and then they don't want to listen to it because every time he speaks, they think that he may be talking about them. Right.
Yeah, it's some sermon.
A lot of speculation. In that
One man
comment,
said
but-
about the deconstruction of people's lives. Okay, is that people don't deconstruct like construction uh, from Messiah, but they deconstruct from other Christians. In other words, nobody says they leave Messiah, but they leave churches because of other Christians. So they use, if they have a scapegoat, of course it's going to be the pastor. Of course it's going to be the leaders. But usually, when people leave a ministry, it's because of the other people. Now, there's a lot of people in. Let's look at this, okay? 80% of people who walk away from a ministry leave because they can't get what they want from the leadership. Either they want to be leaders, either they want to control something to say about their preaching or their teachers or whatever the case. If I can't preach, I don't want to be, and then, or gossip. And so imagine this, all right, that 80% of people leave because of those reasons. 47 or was it 57% women who walk out, the husbands just follow. So imagine that, when they get upset, they leave the ministry, and they're not walking away from Messiah. It's because of other bad characteristics that are in churches, and there's a lot of gossip in ministries today.
So Yeshua said the path is narrow and a few find it, right?
Yes.
So should we automatically expect most people to fall away?
Well, in this last day, of course, it's called the apostasy, which is the falling away. And the apostasy, it comes from, it's like a lot of people, what is it? What is it? It's a rebellious spirit. It is an antichrist spirit. And it's, in the position of any leadership or pastor, you are, people look at you and they already made a, whatever criticism, whatever mindsets, whatever's going to go on, and they already made their decisions. And hey, I'm not going to go there because of this or this or that. And so once you get that, I mean, that's it's unstoppable. But what's happening is that rebellious spirit is in that heart, and that is very hard. This is why I've seen church split all my life. So you have one ministry, everybody's together, they're in one, okay? And then there's a disagreement amongst the pastors. So this pastor he'll complain to the main pastor about everything he dislikes about his character, how he's running things, how he's greedy, how this and this and that. Okay? Then he leaves and takes 50 people to go start his own ministry. And once he starts his own ministry, okay, he's doing the exact same things that the church that he left. And then so you have another man that come up, hey, I disagree with you because you're stubborn, you're all about money, you're this, because now he has the pressures to have a big ministry like this other guy, and the cycle goes on and on and on, and let me tell you something. Doctrine people don't understand doctrine at all. And so if they're following a false doctrine, a lack of doctrine, or there's all kinds of reasons why people can walk away. And it just boils down to the character of a person or the ministry itself.
That's good. So, Jerry, you've been around Pastor Joe long enough to see people come and go. What is the difference between those who stay and those who leave?
I think those who stay tend to realize that, that pastor, with all due respect, sir, pastor's not perfect. Pastor's a man like anybody else. He has faults. He has these issues. We have disagreements. We were button heads this morning because he was telling me to hurry up. Let's go. You know what I mean? So, just being honest. And, I get my little twos, but, we work it out. Life's real. He's a good guide. He's a good counselor. So, I think you have to realize the fruit that his counseling brings to your life, as opposed to the frustration that you may have because of your own insecurities. I think there's a lot of times where I've seen guys leave just because they don't get their way, or they get offended, they get in their feelings, they don't know how to express how they feel to pastor, so they would rather just walk away instead of dealing with things like men or even women, but.
Well, I think that, especially I've always been no time for romance, and a lot of people don't understand that.
You gotta do your hair.
I still don't.
You gotta get that stuff right. See, it's all out of the way.
In my point of view, is simple. I get up, I'm ready to go, and that's it. And I expect everybody to be the same. I don't personally hold nothing against nobody. If people get upset, get mad, like one individual, I was mad at you for a long time. I'm like, wow. And I don't remember why. I was like, well, did I say something? He goes, well, you said this and said that about over the pulpit. Mm-hmm. But I don't carry it. It's everybody's emotion, the feelings, whatever the case may be. I can feel that way too. Yeah. But, I said, well, this bothers me. But I don't allow myself to go through that. Yeah. I said, no, it's understandable when they're young, but as when you get older, you got more responsibilities than the whole grudges. It's like, you know what, you got to move on, and it goes in life, man. It's terrible, but there's just some things that we got to work on, and that's the whole point of what we do. It's like, hey, if I make mistakes, I'm sorry, didn't do that, but and I can, well, that's just who I am, but I'm working on no time for romance, believe me. I don't know, my wife might say different, but.
Okay, let's see. When y'all step back and let wishy-washy people go versus, like, when is the decision to let these people go versus continuing to pursue them?
Well, there's a period of time that you have to kick back and watch them do it. And it's either they're going to go their own way, or they're going to sit there and handle it. And at some point in time, they'll get through it. And they'll grow. They'll use it for a stepping stone of growth. And, that's the whole. We don't want to see anybody backslide or lose their life or whatever the case may be. I don't stand there and say, Lord, just deal with them. No. Because you pray and say, Father, let them grow. I use the analogy of this all the time, okay? When you're raising children, okay, your kids, you want the best from them. And you have a high expectation, but, you don't want to lower those things. But, they can't read those expectations sometimes. And they get mad, they get frustrated. Some will share exactly how they feel when the others won't. All right? But you still have to show them love. You still have to show them that you care. You still have to show you, hey, you can get mad at me 10 times a day. I'm here for you. And that's the same position that the believers must take. You know what? You should never feel like, well, I can't go to you. The only time people can approach me is because they're bothered of something in their lives. Because if you approach me and say, well, here's my problem, here's my issue, let's deal with it then. Let's talk about it, let's get it over with. All right. And the same thing in family. You have to deal with those situations. And so we can grow together or help you to get out of those situations. And it's for the purpose of yourself. So it's either you're gonna grow or you'll just end up going.
So
Hopefully.
how could you protect your heart from becoming cynical after being burned repeatedly?
Lot of prayer.
Cynical.
Lot of prayer.
That's tough.
Lot of prayer.
Forgiveness, huh?
Yes, a lot of
You gotta just
prayer.
push it out. I think you gotta protect yourself too from it though. You can't do the same. You can't get burned twice, 3 times the same way, and not pay attention to how it's about to happen.
No, you have to always see it the way the Father sees it. How many times he's been burned? Okay, I mean we could say that about Yeshua, but in the long run, that's where it gets personal. It's because how many times the guy can come back to the men's home, right? And that you just even though the hope is they're not going to do the same process anymore.
Okay.
So you can see hearts harden, but and at least for me, it's hard. I can't allow myself to do that because I know what it is to be bitter and anger, and I don't want to be that person. I've seen bitter, angry people, and they're very negative, and they're nothing. And you talk to them, you can bring the sun. It's bright outside, and look at the great time we're having, and nothing good comes from that.
Yeah, with the grass.
Yeah.
Well, I think that also we're like in a prophetic time where we are seeing the love of many growing cold.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's something that we got to just grab by the horns and.
You when you do prayer, when you're up there and you're trying to feel Yahweh, you're praying, you do a really good job.
Bring the spirit
Yes,
down.
you bring it because there's things that are coming out and you're pointing them out.
The hearts are
And the spirit of Yahweh is working through you to point those out. All right? And then that becomes a heart. That's when you start examining yourself. Like, well, wait a minute, is this me too, Father? Because sometimes when the Holy Spirit speaks, you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
It's me too.
Hold up here.
But yes.
Hold on.
But you're doing it. And that's what the Spirit does, is like it brings us, reveals, it brings us, and He doesn't want to condemn us, He wants us to draw us closer. And so that's the whole point, is that we draw close.
And we just see like how powerful Yahweh's Ruach is.
Yes.
In those moments, like Jeremy and even Tracy that are up there on the platform, one of those, was it the day Pastor wasn't here, Jeremy? He was in California or something. I don't know when it was, but we were doing a prayer. Maybe it wasn't. But either way, we were doing a prayer. I was doing a prayer up there, and like I was just like trying to have Yahweh just breathe his Ruach. But then there was one individual where he was just like twitching and his eyes were black, and I was like, and I almost lost it. And I got distracted, and I was like, wow, you see that stuff, and you don't look at the man. I mean, he was right in the center too, and he was just like,
yeah.
And I was like, oh, whoa.
So he's doing this face, y'all.
Yeah.
No, it was like that, and it was.
But here's the thing: like a lot of people don't understand about the men's home. I don't care. Whatever men's home you're at,
They're humans too.
They're coming in with all kinds of foulness and demons and whatnot.
Yeah.
And when holiness hits them, they shut down, they protect themselves, or they start twitching.
It was weird.
Yes. And so they don't realize that. Like, oh, they're going to be saved. And yes, but look what the battle is. And see, believe me, I recognize those things. And I see them all the time.
I almost lost it that day. I just wanted to, all right, let's just start praising Yahweh. I was like, whoa. He like locked eyes with Hasatan himself.
Yeah. Dang.
It was weird.
But it happens. And the other day when you guys were gone, had to deal with the situation, and a manifestation did happen where it's just anger and it just rose up and it was lashing out. Just say, it was, and I look at it, I know it's not him, it's the demonic, because I know who you are, and and started pointing everything of the past at me. And that's just the enemy speaking at you, and it was a different voice. And it was I was like, whoa, settle down. Settle down. In the name of Yeshua, stop. You know, you don't cower down, but you're just like, hey, that's stop. And to shut it down because you can't allow the enemy to do that. And that's what the enemy does. When he
Try to provoke
it's manifestation, it rises up.
It's
oh
ugly.
my gosh, it's terrible.
Try to make you mad and make you lose your.
Yeah. You just gotta keep your testimony.
Shoot us.
All right, let's wrap this up.
All right.
So let's go. So rapid fire questions.
Rapid fire.
Name one of your favorite 10 commandments. One.
Shabbat. Honor the Shabbat.
This is
Shall have
rapid.
no other gods before me.
Yes.
Okay. Which commandment do people break the most today?
You shall not lie.
Oh, Shabbat.
What is the worst thing about California?
The worst thing? Oh, the sin. Oh my gosh.
The price of gas.
Oh, the price of gas is crazy over there.
Okay. Most annoying question someone asked you in California.
The most annoying. What are you?
Okay.
What are you?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're not Christian.
Oh,
Okay. One word to describe yesterday's Shabbat.
Wonderful.
Blessings.
Okay. Coffee in California or New Mexico?
New Mexico.
Really?
Yes, they don't have a Dunkin's there. I couldn't believe it myself.
That's whack.
Would you
Yes.
consider yourself a teacher of any kind?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay. Biggest difference between Cali Messianic community and ours?
Here in New Mexico, well, they keep Shabbat on a Shabbat, and over there they did it on a Friday night. There was one that I got to go. I made time to go see, and they actually do their service on Sundays, but they call themselves Messianic, and they justified a few things, but it was just little. How can I say this? I get criticized for being critical right away. It was more secular. I spotted a lot of secularism. So in California, I think there's more entertainment because it is an entertainment. So it's more about putting on a show.
Right.
A lot of ministries do that. So I
Okay.
think that's a lot.
What is one song you are tired of playing at Shabbat? One.
Tired? I like them all except for what's that one?
Yeah, how great they are.
How great they are.
One that I'm tired of playing. Dang, I don't know, man. I like all the songs that we do.
I like Bo.
I don't really try to pick any songs that I don't like to do, so you know.
So Jethro gave y'all advice right now. What would he say?
Simmer down.
Man up.
If you had to lead Parashat teaching next week, Jeremy, what would you teach?
Parashat, I don't know what the next part is.
Messianic.
Messianic?
How many hours of sleep did y'all get last night?
Like 3.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Oh me, I went to sleep at 10. Woke up at 5.
It's not by choice.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
What does Pastor Joe do that drives you nuts?
No time for romance.
Yeah.
Okay, what does Jeremy do that drives you nuts? Not hurries up. I'll
Oh,
answer.
Pastor, what is it?
Yeah, he's usually on time.
No.
It's just that he gets in his feelings.
Okay, what do you think was the most California thing Pastor did while he was there?
California thing he did was there?
What do you
Probably
think?
drive fast.
Okay,
And didn't stop.
Okay.
And his stuff.
okay.
Most I yes,
Yes.
Percentage of people you met who were serious about following Yeshua.
Oh. I would say out of all the people I met, there was one individual. We had a good conversation, and he was. His parents were from. I want to say they were Russian Jews, and he came back here to America in 1980 something, and he knew Yeshua, so we had a good conversation standing in line.
Okay, so would y'all rather deal with 100 wishy-washy disciples or 10 hostile opponents?
That's a good one. I would say the hostiles.
100.
Huh?
100.
Okay, if Israelites had cell phones at Mount Sinai, what would they post on social media?
the glory. The cloud.
Look at this man, he's crazy
Look at
walking up that mountain.
Imagine that
What's
they
he
had cell
doing?
phones.
You think he's actually gonna do something?
What was the most LA thing that you saw that made you realize you're not in New Mexico no more?
Oh my gosh, downtown LA, all the homeless people. I was trying to get to the garment district. I couldn't get there because they're protesting. We're walking to a protest.
Jeremy, if Jethro showed up at our ministry today, what organizational advice would he give you?
Don't know.
Okay. Did you bring back anything from California to New Mexico?
We brought oranges
Oh, and pizza.
and pizza.
Oh,
Toppers.
So
Yeah.
good.
Toppers.
Ate it all.
All right, complete this
Toppers.
sentence. Complete this sentence, Pastor. Wishy-washy disciples are like
Babies.
Jeremy. Complete this one. Committed disciples are like.
Men.
Men. We men.
I'll say okay. A few more. If y'all can make one rule that all disciples must follow, or they're out, what is it?
Say again?
If y'all can make one rule to all disciples that y'all know, they must follow them, or they're out. What is it?
Sobriety.
Discipline.
Okay. Pastor, what's your Mount Sinai moment where you encountered
I was gonna
Yahweh?
say no time for romance.
Very good.
Say it again. I'm sorry.
What's your Mount Sinai moment where you encountered Yahweh so powerfully it changed everything?
My sign of the burning bush.
You had a burning bush moment?
I believe that I did in the closet. So yes.
Okay. Jeremy, last one. If Jethro walked into our Shabbat service, would he give you a thumbs up or would he start reorganizing?
Reorganize the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you guys have it pretty much all together. I've seen some other ones, so.
Y'all have anything to say before we end this?
I think we all need to continue to study in your words and research, find the scriptures, look it up in Hebrew, and look at the mitzvot or the commands, and never forget Shabbat.
I think if y'all have any comments or questions or anything that you want to hear from us or want us to touch on for the next podcast, you can just send us a comment, put it in, and Zay will write it down, and we'll go over it, and we'll bring it up next Sunday.
Yes.
Well, until next time, guys. Shalom,
Shabbat
shalom.
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 Shabbat shalom.